look and read.
North or south, east or west, the quest to save the life of Pelamar goes far. Look bravely through the dragon's eye and fly.
Through the Dragon's Eye by Christopher and Christine Russell. Chapter 1. The Dragon from Pelamar. If dragons were real, said Jenny, I'd like a pet one. Scott stopped painting and looked at her. You'd be scared silly, he said. Jenny, Scott, and Amanda were painting a huge dragon on the playground wall. It was their part of a mural the whole class was working on. Amanda stood back and looked at the waterfall, the meadow, the White House, and the dragon they had painted. Right, she said. I'll go and tell Miss Taylor we've finished. Hang on, said Scott. We haven't done his eye yet. Jenny wanted to paint in the dragon's eye. Paintings look alive if you do the eyes properly, she told Amanda. She painted in the eye, and they all stood back. The dragon winked. The three children stared. It winked again. The waterfall began to tumble and splash real water. Please, said the dragon, leaning right out of the painting. Don't be afraid. Come in. There's a path behind the waterfall. Jenny, Amanda, and last of all, Scott, walked slowly behind the waterfall. They found themselves in a meadow. It's our mural, whispered Jenny. Come alive. The dragon bowed. Welcome to Pelamar, he said. My name is Gorwin. Gorwin told them that the land of Pelamar was dying. Plants and creatures were fading away. Houses were suddenly collapsing. But why? Asked Jenny, puzzled. Because the Vita Core has exploded, said Gorwin. Scott was even more puzzled. The Vita Core? What's that? He asked. May I show you? Said Gorwin. Let us go to the pool. He led them back behind the waterfall. Scott began to write in his notebook. Gorwin the dragon? Pelamar? What is the Vita Core? Gorwin blew on the pool, and they saw in it a dazzling golden shape. That is the Vita Core, said Gorwin, the life force of Pelamar. But you are not looking at it as it is now. This is just an image. He blew on the pool again, and they saw Doris, Boris, and Morris, the keepers of the Vita Core. Doris was purple, Boris orange, and Morris green. They also saw the book of the Vita Core, lying closed and dusty. As they watched, the Vita Core began to spin faster and faster until finally it exploded. Amanda was shocked. Why did it explode? She asked. We do not know, replied Gorwin. But without the Vita Core, there can be no Pelamar. We will all fade and die. I fear that only you can save us.
Us? Said Jenny. How? Asked Scott. Gorwin told them that the keepers had found all the pieces. They were now trying to put the Vitacore together again. Scott couldn't see the problem. All they've got to do is read the book and do what it says, right?
What if they cannot read the book? Said Gorwin. No one else in Pelamar can read.
Scott was amazed. They looked in the pool again. The keepers were trying to read the book. Upside down. I think you're in big trouble, said Scott.
So, will you help us? Will you read the book? Asked Gorwin.
Sure, said Scott. He wasn't quite so sure about flying to the Vitacore house on Gorwin's back. Safe on land again, outside the Vitacore house, Scott tore his notebook into 3 bits and gave the girls one each. I think we should write all this down, he said, so we don't forget. The keepers didn't want any help and wouldn't let them come into the Vitacore house. Suddenly, a tree crashed down and burst the door open. Gorwin led the children inside. How dare you come in here? Stormed Doris. But then the video phone crackled. Words appeared on the video screen. Amanda read them. Keepers, Great West Lake, now high fade zone, nothing left alive. Keep away, please. The keepers were surprised. How do we know she's telling the truth? Asked Morris. Then Rhodey, a giant white mouse, rushed in. I'm sorry I'm late, he panted. I flew over the Great West Lake. It's awful. Everything there is dead. The keepers had their proof. These children from the other world could read. But would Doris let them help? She stood for a moment. Well, get on with it, she snapped. They turned to page 1. The book of the Vitacore was very hard to read. Do you understand it, Scott? Whispered Amanda. Only that there are 25 bits, and they're called Vitons, said Scott. That was a start. Amanda counted the Vitons scattered around the floor. There were only 22. 3 were missing.